Welcome back to the channel. Today, behind me, I have 3 plants that I would like to share with you that can be useful and good to know in a survival situation. Now, we are in the arid scablands again, which is situated in the inland northwest of the United States. But these plants can be found, or a similar variety of these plants can be found all over the US and all over the world. Now, 2 of these plants are edible and they're good for resources. One of these plants should be avoided at all costs, and it's very common to find it out here. Now, this is an overview, so we're not going to go into great detail on all 3 of these. I can give you enough information so you can do some research on your own and decide for yourself how important it is to be able to ID and use these plants in the field. So at the end of the video, I'll have some more resources to share with you. Right now, let's go check these out. A few important things to note here, because we've got all of these plants growing within feet of each other right here. These plants typically grow at the base of these basalt cliff faces. It's typically a well-drained soil within close proximity of seasonal water sources. There's also shade in the morning and in the evening. So those are some things to think about when you're out here trying to find and ID these plants for yourselves. All right, let's get in here and get a closer look at these. All right, let's get the bad news out of the way first. All over out here at the base of these basalt cliffs, walkways around water, we have this, which is western poison ivy. Now, some people call this poison oak. You can look it up for yourself. There is some hybridization that has happened, but for our video today, we're just going to call this poison ivy. It's got leaves of 3, let it be, that classic saying. This has an oil on it that will cause your skin to blister. At least over 99% of people. Some people are immune to it, but most people will get a blistery rash that will spread on contact all over your body. The berries are not edible. For humans, the oil is contained in every part of the plant. I have had it soak through clothing when I'm working in this stuff and be pulled in and drawn to my skin. It doesn't go dormant, so don't mess with it in the winter. And whatever you do, do not burn this stuff. Something I mentioned in my survival video, the overnighter, I think, was that there's not a lot of wood out here to burn. And in the winter, you'll see these twigs standing up with just these pale yellow berries on it. And it might be tempting to come out here and pick some of this stuff and burn it. If you inhale that smoke, you'll be in very bad shape if it doesn't kill you. Okay, that's how serious this stuff is. And some people are extremely allergic to this. I think that's all we need to talk about. Just stay away from it. I'll get you some close-up video of it, and I would suggest learning what this is and staying away from it. It's no fun. So if you look real close, you can see there's these pale yellow berries. These will stay on the plant all year around. That's a dead giveaway in the winter when the leaves are off of it. Now, I'm not going to touch this, but I will try and get some close-ups. There's 3 leaves on each little leaflet there. And the old saying goes, I'll say it again, leaves of 3, let it be. It always stands out to me because of the red hue on the leaves sometimes that they develop, and it's kind of a waxy looking leaf, so it sort of stands out. And you can see it's all over on this hillside. Best to steer clear of it. Alright, now that we've got that out of the way, although we want to steer clear of that stuff, unfortunately it occupies the same space as our 2 wild edibles that we want to talk about. Do your own research. Don't trust me. I'm not an expert, etc., etc. Right down the hill from that, within 15 feet, we've got miner's lettuce. This stuff grows all over the place. Now, sometimes it can be a little hard to find, but oftentimes out here, this stuff grows in the shaded side of these bluffs down up underneath the rocks where there's a little bit more moisture content in the soil. Now, this is a pretty good edible, I think. To me personally, it's not the greatest tasting thing, but it can be eaten raw, and it can be cooked. You can do your own research, but it's a very good thing to know when you're out here in the middle of nowhere, where a lot of people assume there's nothing to eat. Let's get a close-up of this. So you can see there's that rock face down here, and the little boulder field. We've got our miner's lettuce growing right here. And there's actually quite a bit of it up underneath the rock. Down here we've got some more. Got some more here. And it's pretty much growing all the way up this. Oh, about 3/4 of the way up, you stop finding it. So pretty common out here. Do your own research before you eat something. Don't take my word for it. I'm just a guy out here with a camera. All right, now we're to the third plant, and I think I've saved, for me anyways, the best for last. Now I could do an entire video on each one of these plants and quite a few others that are out here. But I'm gonna try and keep this short as an overview, a primer. This is stinging nettle. This stuff is all over out here. Most people know of this plant if you spend any time outdoors, because if it's in the pathway and you brush up against it and you get those red welts, that's what it's known for. It's also a very good forageable. It is got good nutritional value, and it can be used in a number of different ways. Everything from teas to bulking up a soup. The only downside is that you probably want to cook it before you try and eat it. And you may want to wear gloves when you go to pick it. One of the nice things about stinging nettle is it grows very late into the season, and it starts very early in the season. So there's a good chance, unless you're in the absolute dead of winter, that you can find some of this. One of the giveaways for it early in the year are the dead stalks of the previous year. So you can find, if you find these and recognize these, then you can get down to the base and generally find the young shoots. Typically you want to eat the younger, more green, tender parts of the plant, but I've had it all the way through the year, and you can chop it up fine enough and cook it well enough to where it's palatable. And the flavor on it is actually very, very good. A little salt, a little pepper, a little balsamic vinegar on a piece of toast with an egg. Ooh, okay, I'm gonna try and keep this short. I do have a video on that though. I'll try and link it here. Let's get a close-up. All right, so here's a close-up here. As you can see, some seed clusters are starting to develop in the center of the plant, but you can do lots of research, look at some pictures, so you can be sure of it to ID it for yourself. Like I said, one of the giveaways are last year's dead stalks. So if you look up here, we've got a bunch up there, we've got a bunch over there. It's all over up here. But as I stated in the video though, the bummer is you've got to be really careful, because right here is some poison ivy. There's probably hours worth of stuff to film out here. Look at this. Get all kinds of useful plants and not so good ones, all mixed in together. Anybody ID this one? Very common out here too. If you know what this is, leave it in the comments. Well, I hope this video was useful to you. I tried to keep it somewhat short. It seems like the average view duration on my videos is 3 to 5 minutes. I could easily spend hours out here going over some of these plants. As I said earlier, I've got a couple of books here that I found useful. I'll leave links to these if you want to check them out. This is Edible and Medicinal Plants of the Rockies by Linda Kershaw. Pretty good book. Good pictures, good write-ups, good recipes. Now these are based more on foraging, but if you can ID it for foraging, then you will be able to ID it in an emergency. The other one I've got here is Edible Wild Plants by, let's see, John Callis. This is a very good book. This has very good recipes in it, very good write-up, and very good pictures of the plants throughout the year. So again, I'll leave the links below. If enough people show interest in this, I would love to expand this series and go throughout the seasons and include more information on these plants. So that's up to you guys. Leave a comment down below if you'd like to see that. So hopefully I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.